Today, I'm going to go ahead and give you my top 5 prospects for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly snag in the first round. Let's get started. Alright guys, welcome back in. Now before we get started, definitely do me a huge favor, smack the like button on this video and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content on the road to 12K. Can't do it without you guys. Definitely go and subscribe it up, join the family, also follow me on all my social platforms. Everything will be in the description of this video. In today's video, I want to go ahead and give you my top 5 prospects that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly target heading into this year's 2023 NFL Draft. Now obviously, right now the Arizona Cardinals are sitting at the 3rd overall spot, which seems to be a very hot pick amongst people that want a QB, or maybe amongst teams that want to get Will Anderson Jr. Now, as of right now, the Arizona Cardinals are still sitting at the 3rd overall spot, and I still do think that the Arizona Cardinals, the rumors are kind of out there saying that the Cardinals are willing to listen to the idea of other prospects. Now, to me, I feel like Will Anderson Jr. is an absolute must if the Arizona Cardinals decide to stay at the 3rd overall spot. Now, if the Arizona Cardinals do decide to trade back and accumulate more picks for the future, then we can start talking about other prospects that the Arizona Cardinals can possibly bring in. And these are my top 5 prospects I would love the Arizona Cardinals to go after. Let's start off with number 1 here, and that is none other than Will Anderson Jr., outside linebacker out of Alabama. Your favorite guy, my favorite guy coming out of the draft, and I think it's a shoe-in for if the Arizona Cardinals to stay at the 3rd overall spot that they're going to go after Will Anderson Jr. Now, there are some people out there that do feel like Will Anderson Jr. is an absolute must, and if the Arizona Cardinals don't get him, this is an absolute bust of a draft. Now, as of right now, remain to be seen. We're still sitting at the 3rd overall spot, and I feel like that's going to be the guy that most people are mocking to the Arizona Cardinals if we stay at that number 3rd overall spot. My number 1 prospect, Will Anderson Jr. Let's move on over to number 2. I love the idea of the Arizona Cardinals building the trenches up correctly. Now, one thing I want to obviously talk about is the idea of never having a good offensive line. We've always had pieces that we were able to plug in, but we just never were able to stay healthy, and never a consistent enough offensive line to help keep Kyler Murray upright. So one thing I would love the Arizona Cardinals to do is go after a offensive lineman in the draft. If they decide to trade back, I think this is an absolute the best thing the Arizona Cardinals need to do is go after Paris Johnson Jr. Now, he did spend some time in his collegiate career as the right guard for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he did spend some time as the left tackle as well. Now, I know there's going to be people running to the comments saying, we don't need a left tackle, Mike. It's not the idea of needing a left tackle, but it is getting the idea of getting somebody that's going to be able to keep Kyler Murray upright. We don't know the future of DJ Humphries. Now, yes, he is our left tackle this year, but we don't know for the future. And why not start bolstering and getting our trenches up correctly? And I think Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be a huge asset for the Arizona Cardinals for the future if they decide to trade back. Do something like that, gather some more picks, and start building the trenches up correctly. Now let's move on over to my 3rd prospect here. I think when we're thinking of this 3rd prospect, we all think of the same needs, right? We have edge, offensive line, as well as defensive line. It's the same needs we had last year. It's carried back over into this year. Now, for me, my 3rd prospect is Devon Witherspoon, ladies and gentlemen. He is a cornerback out of Illinois, and honestly, he's probably my favorite cornerback coming into this year's draft. He's 6'1", 180 pounds, and when I think of a dog, I think of Devon Witherspoon. Now, I know there might be some people saying Christian Gonzalez over Devon Witherspoon. There might be people saying Devon Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez. I honestly think it's 1A to, 1B, just kind of whatever your preference is. And I think, to me, Devon Witherspoon is a dog. I think he could definitely be a great asset for the Arizona Cardinals if they decide to trade back. Now, obviously, I think Paris Johnson will be available a little bit later on in the draft, obviously within the top 10, but I'm talking about 7, maybe 8, something like that. Paris Johnson will be available. Now, Devon Witherspoon, that might be a guy that might be going 5, 6, 7, something along those lines, maybe in the middle top 10 of the NFL draft. So if you do want to get him, you might have to obviously come up with the game plan to try to land him, because I know there might be some teams out there that wants him over Christian Gonzalez or any other cornerback. So Devon Witherspoon, to me, absolute ball hawk, an absolute guy that I would love in my secondary. Now, as of right now, there's a lot of unknown coming into our secondary. I know we've had some, remarks from Marco Wilson saying he loves to be, underrated, or he loves to be, kind of not talked about. Cool. I love the energy. Keep bringing it up. But honestly, bringing in Devon Witherspoon would only help him out. It would only help out our safeties as well. And I think that would be an absolute awesome asset if the Arizona Cardinals were to land somebody like Devon Witherspoon. Now let's move on over to my fourth prospect. That is going to be none other than Christian Gonzalez. Still a cornerback. I love the idea of the Arizona Cardinals. If they don't get Devon Witherspoon, then you get Christian Gonzalez. Now, to me right here, if both of them were still on the board, I would say Devon Witherspoon over Christian Gonzalez. But if Devon Witherspoon goes, then I wouldn't be mad at the idea of the Arizona Cardinals landing a Christian Gonzalez. Now, Christian Gonzalez, he actually had a pretty good combine here. He actually ran a 4.340, bench press 14. He's a very good prospect. Comes out of Oregon. I really do like his length. He's 6 foot, 197 pounds. I like the idea of a Christian Gonzalez. And to me, I don't know, there's something about him that kind of reminds me of Byron Murphy Jr., the guy that we just ended up losing in free agency. I would love the idea of getting a Christian Gonzalez if Devon Witherspoon isn't there. Now, cornerback, offensive line, defensive line, right? Now you're starting to see a trend. Now, once we move on over to my next prospect here, this might be where there might be a lot of controversy, or there might be people saying, I wouldn't touch this guy with a 6-foot pole. But if he does fall and the Arizona Cardinals decide to trade back into a spot where, I don't want to move out of the top 10 personally, but there's some fans out there that want the Arizona Cardinals to get as much picks as they possibly can. And of course, the further back you go, the more picks you can accumulate. So I'm going to throw this out there, Jalen Carter. Now, Jalen Carter didn't have a great pro day. It was reported, people were saying this up and down, that he's lost his draft stock, but I still do think that if Jalen Carter is there, let's say you get traded back until the number 10, the number 11, the number 12, if you're out of the top 10 and Jalen Carter's still there because of what happened, then I think you still go after Jalen Carter, because you won't have the best cornerbacks. You most likely will be missing out on Paris Johnson. You'll definitely be missing out on Will Anderson Jr. if you do decide to trade back and accumulate more picks. Then Jalen Carter, to me, should be the absolute best option for the Arizona Cardinals there, where we're going to be able to address that interior defensive line, the guy that's going to be able to stop the run, the guy that's going to be able to give pressure to that opposing quarterback whenever we're obviously suiting up on Thursdays, Mondays, and Sundays. So those are my top 5 prospects in the first round for the Arizona Cardinals that I would love for them to snag. Now, let's say, for example, they don't get any of those top 5 prospects, then I would be very bummed out. I absolutely would. Now, granted, Will Anderson to me is going to be the creme de la creme. If we stay at the 3rd overall spot, even if we somehow move to the number 4, switch with, the Colts, and we still land Will Anderson Jr., I think that would be the dream made in heaven for the Arizona Cardinals. But right now, those are my top 5 prospects for the Arizona Cardinals to start building from the future. Cornerback, offensive line, defensive line. Let me know, ladies and gentlemen, how you guys are feeling. Who is a top prospect that you want the Arizona Cardinals to go after? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, have a great rest of your day, and go Cards.